This is Friday Night Football on KLST, brought to you by Randall Motors.
Good evening. Welcome into Friday Night Football, the second week of Friday Night Lights of the 2024 high school football season. It's in the books. I'm Brian Cunningham. The next 15 minutes, a recap from all over the Concho Valley in week 2. And let's start with our biggest Concho Valley school. The Bobcats this week travel to Amarillo to take on the Sandies. The Bobcats coming off a tough week 1 loss up in Amarillo this evening. The Bobcats come out of the gates fast in this one. Squeaky finds a wide open Jimmy Edwards, and he keeps the feet moving, and just like that, Central out in front 7-0. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You've heard that before. The duo once again strikes for the Cats in this one. This time Squeaky hits Jimmy in stride. He's got nothing but green grass ahead of him. 4-6. Central out to a 14-0 lead early, but after that, it was all Sandies. The Bobcats fall to 0-2 with the loss tonight and are back on the road next week when they travel to Abilene Cooper. The Chiefs host this week hosted the Snyder Tigers and look to take a turn in the series tonight that is led by the Tigers. Both teams enter this game. Lakeview would receive the ball after kickoff. And after Lakeview sends away their first punt of the day, the Tigers look to do the same, except they fumble on the play, and it gives the Tigers the ball back in the red zone. But defense makes plays here, and after 3 plays, the Tigers would line up for a chip shot, and they'd end up missing it short by kicking it into the back of their line. The following drive, the Chiefs, after a few first downs, go with the bomb downfield, and he puts a number on this corner, outruns him to the end zone. Chiefs are going to go up 7-0 winding down the first quarter. The next drive, the Tigers have the ball, 4th down going for it at their goal line, and Lakeview is in the backfield to end the first quarter. The final score would be 40-34, and we're straight back into the action. Grape Creek hosting Reagan County. First quarter, the Owls break the ice in this one. Kason Brown gets the direct snap, takes it to the outside, and turns on the Jets. Brown finds pay dirt from 50 yards out. Reagan County up early 7-0, and it wouldn't take long for the Eagles to respond. Sire Garcia from a yard out pounds his way across the goal line. 2-point good. Reagan County still up 7-6, and Reagan County would add here to their lead at the goal line. Jarrett Brown able to somehow get the pass off, finds a wide open Kason Brown in the end zone. The lead is now 14-6, and Grape Creek would fall to Reagan County tonight. TLCA Eagles this week hosted the Cisco Lobos, former district opponent who won by a shutout their previous 2 matchups. Both teams enter this week looking for their first win, but it's Cisco who walks away with a commanding 62-8 win. And for our final matchup before the break, a pair of Concho Valley teams face off tonight. The Bulldogs hosted the Mason Punchers, leading to the all-time series of 35-25-1. Mason winning 3 out of the last 4, and Mason walks away with the win tonight, 47-19. We now take you to our last matchup before the break, a highly anticipated matchup between 2 top 10 teams, with the Wall Hawks hosting the Brownwood Lions. A packed house tonight at Clayton Washington Field. Wall hosting Brownwood early on in this one. A defensive slugfest. Lane Stansberry says hello to Trey Mosley in the backfield. Wall defense holding strong. More from this defense in the first quarter. Mosley trying to do something with it, but this time Garrett Guy meets him in the backfield. And we fast forward to the first play of the second quarter. Hawk quarterback Landon York drops a beautiful lob to the end zone to Reed Robertson, and it is now tipped up in the air. Reed comes down with it. Wall strikes 7-0. Both defenses showed up and showed out. We now take you live to Hawk Stadium, where Sean has more on this top 10 matchup.
Stand by. Welcome everyone to Clayton Wisehoon Stadium. This is Sean Torres with KLST Sports, and today we got to witness a pretty fun game. It was the number 9 ranked Wall Hawks hosting the number 7 ranked Brownwood Lions, and the final score was 17-7 Brownwood Lions. And if you're into defense, today was the game to come watch. The defensive guys were doing amazing. They were filling the right holes, making the right reads, getting to the ball before it hit the line of scrimmage, getting the sacks. It was very fun to watch. For the offense, we had Trey Mosley. He did an amazing job. He was the running back for the Brownwood Lions. Anytime they needed a first down, anything, he went and got that. He had a play where he landed on someone, got right back up, ran 20 yards down the field. That was amazing. Touchdown for them. And the only touchdown for the Wall Hawks today was a spectacular catch by Reed Robertson. He went up in the air, tried to catch it, fell on the ground, and still caught the ball. It fumbled in the air, caught it still. It was amazing to watch. And there wasn't much other offense going other than that, but this is where we're at. So this has been Sean Torres here. Thank y'all.
This live shot is sponsored by AFCO Steel.
And when we come back, we continue our coverage of high school football across the Concho Valley. Class 2A ball is up next when we return with some notable matchups of Concho Valley teams facing off against one another. Don't go anywhere. This is Friday Night Football.
This is Friday Night Football on KLST, brought to you by Randall Motors.
We take you back into the action as 2A continues. A pair of 1-0 Concho Valley teams met tonight in this Week 2 matchup between El Dorado and Ozona. Although a low-scoring first half, there were still some highlights to be seen. Check out this hurdle by Ozona here on the sideline. We're now going to take you to the second quarter. Ozona drops back and unleashes a bomb to the middle of the field to a crossing Michael Daniels for the score. Later in the quarter, Ozona again with another deep shot down the sideline, except this time the Eagles are going to be there to pick it off. And later in that same drive, Ozona goes down the field. And with a 30-yard touchdown strike, El Dorado is going to close this game to 1 score each. And what you're going to see is a final score of El Dorado beating Ozona. And the Cristobal Cougars travel to Ballinger tonight to face the Bearcats for these two teams' first ever matchup, with the Bearcats winning in a shutout versus the Cougars 21-0. And for our next matchup, the Johnson City Eagles travel to the Concho Valley to take on the Broncos of Sonora for this matchup of former district opponents, with the Broncos winning their only 2 games with each other. And in a very close game till the end, the Eagles beat the Broncos by 1. We take you straight into this action in a game that was mostly dominated by the Bulldogs all game. The Sterling City Eagles got their only points off half early off this pick 6 to go up 7-0, but the Bulldogs' dominance would now start, and on the ensuing drive, play action fake to a waiting screen route as the Bulldogs take it up the field for a monster gain on the play. Setting up later in the drive, the Bulldogs quarterback is going to drop back and throw a strike to get on the board with 2 Eagles in the area. Later in the second quarter, the Eagles are looking up to put one more score up before half. Into the end zone, the throw is tipped away by the Bulldogs last minute, and the Bulldogs go into half up 34-7 and would walk away with the win tonight. And for our final 2A schools, another Concho Valley matchup saw the Sterling City Eagles travel to Miles to take on the Bulldogs. Sterling City holds this overall record in the series at 22-11-1. Both teams looking to get their first win as well in 2024. And Junction walks away with the win tonight, 28-21. And when we get back, we're going to continue our coverage of high school football across the Concho Valley. 6-man football is up next, and you don't want to turn away. I'll have our coverage of Class 1A ball when we return with Friday Night Football.
This is Friday Night Football on KLST, brought to you by Randall Motors.
Welcome back into Friday Night Football, 6A, 4A, 3A, 2A. We're all done there. Let's now transition to what some folks say is their favorite ball, 6-man 1A. Tonight marks the first meeting between these two teams since 2005. Hornets taking the field. We pick things up in the first quarter. Hornets striking quickly as Colton Laudermilk finds the end zone, 6-0 Erie County. Next possession, Rakin driving. Jackson Wyatt pushing to his left, rushing to his left for a first down. The Devils marching into the end zone. 2 plays later, fullback Noah Trussell knifing his way into the end zone. Tie game at 6 apiece, still the first quarter. And the Devils are not done yet. Threatening once again in the end zone as Toby Jackson pushes it across for the score. All Red Devils tonight stinging the Hornets 60-12 on the road. The Steers of Robert Lee traveled to Garden City to take on the Bearcats. Garden City holds the all-time series record at 19-13 all-time. Both teams tonight enter the game 1-0, and the Steers would fall to the Bearcats 68-60. The very best Falcons tonight hosted the Mountaineers of Santa Ana, a 3rd straight year in a row meeting. The Falcons have won 2 of those last 3, with the Mountaineers holding the all-time record, but it was the Falcons with the win in the shutout tonight, 78-0. Water Valley hosted the Hermleigh Cardinals, a first-time meeting since 1979. Yes, 1979. And both teams entered week 2 1-0. We picked things up in the first quarter. Water Valley is going to draw blood first here with a rushing touchdown, setting the tone early. Next Wildcats drive, Anthony Quintana rushing to his right, shoved out of bounds past midfield, encroaching Hermleigh territory. Couple plays later, Wildcats still in possession. Quarterback does not fool the Cardinals defense. Quarterback gets swarmed, helicopter to the ground, and later on in the first, Hermleigh down 8. Nothing there. Highlight reel moment, senior wide receiver Eli Gonzalez wide open in the end zone with a mishandled snap on the point after try. The Eden Bulldogs tonight played host to the 8th-ranked Sydney Eagles, a first-time meeting for these two teams, and both enter without a blemish on the record, with Sydney technically not playing last week. Eden falls by 1 point, 25-26. The Blackwell Hornets traveled to Zephyr tonight to take on the Bulldogs in this first-time meeting since 2007. The Bulldogs hold the all-time series lead at 3-0, with Blackwell looking to turn the tide, but it's the Bulldogs who win tonight 56-8. The Brought Longhorns traveled to Rule tonight to take on the Bobcats for this matchup happening a 3rd year in a row. Rule leads the all-time series at 3-2, with Brought winning last year's game and also taking this year's game 28-18. And for our final game of 6-man 1A ball, the Paint Rock Indians traveled to face the Bulldogs of Lorain in what was a by-district rematch from last season. Lorain holds the overall record at 10-3 and would beat the Indians tonight 52-6. And when we get back, we will discuss some headlines for this opening week of the 2024 season. Before we look ahead to Week 3's anticipated matchups, don't go anywhere. This is Friday Night Football.
This is Friday Night Football on KLST, brought to you by Randall Motors.
Welcome back into Friday Night Football. The Concho Valley team's coverage has concluded. Let's now look at some headlines from week 2 from this past week, as well as some notable matchups ahead of Week 3. But first, let's go over to our Week 2 Dr. Pepper trivia from last night. Tonight's question: how many playoff appearances do the Lakeview Chiefs have all time? 12, 20, 28, 37? The winner will be announced on 9/8, and they will, just like last week, receive a $20 Walmart gift card. Put your answers in, folks. Now let's take a look at some of these past headlines from Week 2 of the high school football season. Craig Slaughter, the head coach for the Hawks, drops his first game at head coach, now sitting 1-1 on the season. Ozona, and a correction from earlier, Ozona actually won tonight. They are now 2-0 on the season, averaging an astounding 44 points per game. And Central falls 0-2 on the season under the Mark Smith era. Central Bobcats host Abilene Cougars to kick off Week 3 of the high school football season. A notable 0-2 matchup for both of these teams, with the Bobcats and the Cougars. This series is tied 27-22-1 all time. The Tornadoes of La Mesa come to town to take on Lakeview, a matchup going into the 8th year in a row. Lakeview holds the all-time record at 25-19. Another notable 0-2 matchup for both of these teams. And a battle of the Concho Valley teams next week in Week 3 sees the Eagles of El Dorado traveling to Sonora in a series that has the Broncos winning 11 of the last 12 meetings, looking for William Robledo in his 3rd game with the Eagles to try and turn the tides in this series. And one of the most anticipated matchups next week, former district opponents in Week 3, sees the Jim Ned Indians traveling to Wall to take on the number 9 Wall Hawks for the 9th year in a row. Friday Night Football Week 2 is officially in the books. Don't forget to visit the Concho Valley homepage. Don't forget the Dr. Pepper Trivia Challenge and any other information and news, highlights, everything. They'll all be on the website. Don't forget to, again, put in those answers for Dr. Pepper for the $20 Walmart gift card. That winner will be drawn Saturday. And speaking of Saturday, be on the lookout for tomorrow's highlights of ASU volleyball, as they concluded a doubleheader today at 12 and 6. Now, sadly, that is going to do it for us here tonight. But remember, it's never goodbye. It's just until next week. With KLST, I'm Brian Cunningham. I'll see you next week. Thanks for hanging out, And don't forget, check us out on Sunday for Season Pass. And we will see you guys next week for Friday Night Football for all the matchups. Mark Smith's Week 3 game. It's his third game for the Central Bobcats season, as well as the Wallhawks' Craig Slaughter as well. From us at KLST, have a good night.
Catering for Friday Night Football is provided by Chick-fil-A. Friday Night Football on KLST, brought to you by Randall Motors.